Hello and welcome to another episode of Taylor Talks Comics. It's a special President's Day episode, and today we're going to talk about one of the weirdest comics to feature a U.S. president. We're talking about Reagan's Raiders. All right, so Reagan's Raiders is this weird 3-issue run of comics that came out in 1986 during the black and white boom of the independent comics, where you saw a lot of cool indie comics being printed in black and white and coming out from different publishers. This one was Solson Publications. It's one that Rich Buckler had a big hand in. And Rich Buckler does the art on the first 2 issues, and I believe he does all the covers. And then Monroe Arnold is the scripter, and there's a couple other credits too. But so this comic is, it's weird, but I think the strangest thing about it is that it's fun to look back on as sort of like an amusing satire, if you will. But it did come out while Ronald Reagan was president. So it came out the year before I was born, so I'm not sure how it was perceived or anything in real time. I believe they talk about in one of the letters that the sales were pretty good. I don't know if that was just like a spike because of the anomaly of having a president as an action hero, or if or it could have been them puffing their own hype or whatever. But yeah, so I just want to go through this and celebrate President's Day with this really weird black and white comic. I'm just going to flip through here. There will be some spoilers, but I don't think... I think you should seek these out and read them, but I don't think there's like anything pertinent that's going to ruin the story for you. So we start off with Ronald Reagan and his cabinet. He's addressing his cabinet, talking about different issues that they're having, different crises the government's facing. And these images of Ronald Reagan are very like photostat. They look like highly referenced. I don't want to say that they're tracings or anything, but highly referenced at the least. This one's it's created by Monroe Arnold and Richard Buckler. Dick Ayers and Rich Buckler are doing the art. So Dick Ayers is a famous Jack Kirby inker, and he also did the Sergeant Fury in the Howling Commandos comic. He took that over after Kirby left that book. So he's got some experience working in military books, superhero books. And here, this is funny too. We have this cyborg character that looks very reminiscent of Deathlock. Yeah, you see, like he looks just like Deathlock, which was a character that Rich Buckler created for Marvel in the 70s. There's all these fun ads too. Like this one is the Bojitsu guide, martial arts guide about Donatello. It's like the martial arts training manual. I'd love to get a copy of that and see if just flip through it, see who did the art and stuff, because it looks like Solson printed it, but I think the Ninja Turtles were still being published by Mirage at that point. So it's interesting that they had material coming out through Solson. So anyways, okay, so the big thing is there's this explosion over West Hollywood, which obviously Ronald Reagan, being a former actor, has ties to Hollywood, so he's concerned. And then he hears about this program, the Super Soldier program, as you can imagine from playing off of like Captain America and whatnot. But as he's talking to the guys, he's saying that whenever they try the experiment on younger people, they died tragically pretty soon after. But older people, for some reason, it really enhances their strength and whatnot. So Ronald Reagan gets a great idea for him and his cabinet members to go under the experimentation of the super soldier serum. They don't call it a serum, I guess. It's like an experiment and be transferred into superheroes because they're all older gentlemen. This is another fun comic that I want to look up. The Texas Chainsaw Samurai. That looks like just a great comic. That's what the 80s black and white boom were about, just those things. And most of the black and white boom comics, the way I found out about this comic and the black and white boom and a huge inspiration for this channel, I always want to mention them, is the cartoonist Kayfabe with Jim Rugg and Ed Piskor. They're obviously an inspiration for this channel. So they're always talking about the black and white boom, and Jim Rugg's always specifically citing 1986 as a year of comics that was just like, not only were the black and white boom comics, but there's also Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns, and some other things. But most black and white comics from this era were like more adult oriented and like kind of blood and guts and gore. This comic's not that. This comic's very PG. I mean, it reads very much like a G.I. Joe comic. And here's the great splash page for this issue. It's time to party. And you have Ronald Reagan and all his cabinet members flying down. And I want to say it reads more like a G.I. Joe like episode of the cartoon, the Real American Hero cartoon. I think comparing it to like the Larry Hama comics is doing a disservice to Larry Hama, because these comics are very two-dimensional, and maybe on purpose, because it's supposed to be pretty satirical. But it does read very much like a G.I. Joe adventure. And here's like a great image too of the cyborg. So there's this huge explosion. They're not sure he's a cyborg. They think it's just a guy wearing robot armor. And Ronald Reagan's going toe-to-toe with him. And then there's this explosion. And you see like his face melted off. It's kind of cool. That's probably the most gory image you'll see in the whole issue, the whole 3-issue run. So it's not, and it's a robot. Isn't what 80s cartoons always got by with? You can't kill real people on cartoons, but you can kill robots. So Ronald Reagan, he retreats back, but then there's more issues with this bad lady. What's her name? Yeah, I don't know. They all have very generic names. But they do list all the cabinet members, and it's not just Ronald Reagan that's like that photorealistic, highly referenced image. You'll see George Bush pop up in later issues. Here's some more things that were reminiscent of the black and white boom, or it's like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like that four-word name. Here's the sultry teenage super foxes, and the Bushido Blade Zatoichi Walrus. So it's very much TMNT knockoffs or maybe parodies. You have this guy that looks like Nick Fury chomping on a cigar. And this was like the main villain in this issue. This guy, who's like your Baron Zemo type, Cobra Commander type villain. But in these comics, they're always trying to shoot the Reagan's Raiders, him and his cabinet members, and they have bulletproof skin because of the super soldier serum. So that's always played for laughs within the comic too. And the dialogue's very snappy and fun. Like it's pretty fun. And I wish, so the next issue they fight the Crackbusters. I do wish that maybe I was more in tune with, I wonder if this would read differently if you're reading in 1986, because some of the things that he's saying I feel like are direct quotes maybe of speeches that Ronald Reagan had and whatnot. So I wonder if there's like some inside knowledge of like what's going on there. What's going on? I wonder if there's like some insider knowledge of some of the things that's going on. So this issue number 2, you see Ronald Reagan ripping his shirt open, Superman style. And then here they're selling a shirt. The Gary Brodsky comics, loves comics, and so do I. I wonder if this is a real shirt or if this is a joke. Someone let me know. It would only cost you $8 shipped, $8.95 shipped. So this one, they're fighting drugs, which is obviously a famous thing that Ronald Reagan fought. He was all against drugs and whatnot. And this issue is specifically dealing with cocaine and crack. And you even get like Nancy Reagan in this like totally. It looks like a poster, like a "Don't Do Drugs" poster. She's talking about the WAC, the Women Against Coke, and she wants you to move the dirty white cloud and blow the dope out of America. So they're going to Bolivia. Here's another good image. It could have been a cover image. I believe that's George Bush. I'll point out George Bush when we get to him because he's in here. So this one in here, this guy's pitching that they highly publicize the Reagan's Raiders. They're like, because right now they're a covert operation. None of the Americans know what the president's doing, or his cabinet members, that they're superheroes. This guy's saying you should blow it wide open, let the public know, and use the publicity for, I don't know, future campaigns probably. But Reagan's saying, veto, no release. So, and this one, so I guess they don't really clarify this in the first issue, but I guess when you get the super soldier serum, it wears off. And you have to go through the experiment every single time before a mission. In this one, they invent this little wristband that you wear, and it's like a flip of a switch. You can use the wristband to immediately convert you into your super hero self. Issue 3, they advertise, they take over where Rambo left off. And we'll get to that. Here's another comic that Rich Buckler worked on for Solson. And then in here, so in Bolivia, we have these cocaine dealers, and just some of the dialogue. Franco is a little hysterical. It's a coke dust. He works in the lab, and he's our main sniffer. He's stoned. Like, it's just funny, stupid dialogue. That it's satirical. It's a laugh. And then the newscaster is Don Blather instead of Dan Rather. Don Blather. And he's like the newscaster he's delivering news, but you can't trust him. Fake news, if you will. There's George Bush. So their goal is to go to Bolivia, and you see some great action too. Like, when are you going to get a comic with Ronald Reagan with an AMT-37, just blasting it. So they're trying to go to the main cocaine field. Here's some giant robots that they'll fight, get captured, and blow it up basically, because they're saying that the ties from Bolivia are why cocaine's coming to America. There's also a part 2 where they're like, well, why don't you worry about New York? Cocaine's a huge deal in New York. You need to solve that problem. And, oh, here it is. He has these 2 like random, which you never really find out about them, but they're like the Coke Busters. Their superhero outfits even have like a little no coke, no dope signatures, and they go and beat up a couple drug dealers. But you don't really hear much of them after that. You hear about, like, I think they mention them, but that's about it. So they fight these giant robots. And that's it for that issue. So this one, White House correspondence, are the letters. I always love reading old comic book letters. It's interesting to see where they're coming from. Keith Royster was helping out on the art on this issue, and then he takes over on issue 3. The most interesting note of these whole letters, though, is that I guess it's probably Monroe Arnold is responding, and he's saying that they have the next 6 issues planned out. Well, this is issue number 2, and only one more issue comes out. I don't know why. I don't know if the sales just weren't that good or not, but it only lasts one more issue, which I'd love to hear what those plans were, if they've come up anywhere. So in the 3rd issue, they're going to Vietnam to save the POWs, the prisoners of war. This is 1986. So this is some years after Vietnam, but there's still some POWs they want to go rescue. And the 2 in particular here, and these aren't crosses, so these aren't being crucified. They're just prisoners. But that looks very much like Sylvester Stallone. That one looks very much like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And they're referred to as Rombo. I guess I'm going to zoom in there. Rombo and Schwarzenheimer. So basically you have Ronald Reagan going to save Rambo and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I do like the skull there and the hand coming out. Pretty cool imagery. I'd say that the line work too, like the line quality, especially in like this image, it comes off like fanzine art from like the old 80s like you'd see. And this is Rich Buckler. I mean, he's a very accomplished artist, especially at this point. I mean, this is 10 years after his stint in Marvel, or 10 plus years even. But the line art, I don't think reproduces very well on here. I don't know if it's like the print quality or not, but I think it really does a disservice to the art because it makes it look like a fanzine art. But I think it's just the production quality. And I'd say in issue 3, it looks a lot better. It looks a lot cleaner, the way they reproduced it. They even use this image here too, which is just right off the cover of number 2. They just copy that image. But you get these cool, and like these fun moments too, where Ronald Reagan's talking about like, this is a lot different than an old movie camera. You know, playing into his days of being an actor. So yeah, this issue here's Sergeant Slaughter's Mat Wars, interactive wrestling game. I think this is an old card game or something. Makes you think of like, what was that baseball game my brother used to play? Something Automatica, baseball mat, I don't know. Help me in the comments. But it made me think of something like that. If someone played this game, let me know. But perfect advertising, Sergeant Slaughter, in the height of when he was in G.I. Joe. There's no better comic to advertise that. Here's another great splash page. But yeah, they're just going to Vietnam. There is some unfortunate race-related issues that in the dialogue, I will say. But you get another great image of Ronald Reagan with a gun, From Russia with Love. And then he's saving, here's Rambo, Sly Stallone, and Schwarzenheimer, the POWs that they're saving. And look at here's more Samurai funnies. Samurai the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Samurai, Samurai on Elmo Street. I gotta look this up. They sound awesome. Mixing samurai comics with horror movies sounds like a fun afternoon. I'll see if those were, if they even came out or what. So here's Ronald Reagan running out with Rambo on his shoulder. And they have superhuman jumping ability too. He's always jumping from the ground up to an airplane. Just interesting. So they did have one ready. They said the next issue, Raiders of the Lost Star Wars. Kind of sad that we didn't see that. It looks like they were going to go to space. I'd love to see Reagan's Raiders in space. And we close with a wrestling magazine advertising on the back. So yeah, that's Reagan's Raiders. 3 issues. You can find this for pretty cheap on eBay. I wouldn't go out and buy. I noticed like put some searches out there. You probably find them for a couple bucks each, or find them in quarter bins even if you go bin diving at comic book shops. Let me know in the comments though if you have read this, what your thoughts are, your favorite comic books that have presidents appearing in them, how you're celebrating President's Day, your favorite black and white boom comics of the 80s. Let me know all that, and like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Thank you.